Hi, welcome to Griller Cues Around the Globe. This week I was in the supermarket looking at the meat counter, and there were some interesting looking cuts of meat that were wonderfully marbled. They were a chuck, rib, something. I don't know how the butcher was labelling them. It sounded like they'd come from all over the cow. However, they were relatively inexpensive, just $3 a pound, beautifully marbled. It looked like they were some of the meat that might have come off the short rib plate, so this bit of the animal, and looked like they would work really well as a steak. I had to host a number of people. I've got to host a number of people tonight. It's a beautiful evening in San Antonio just before a storm hits, so we're moving fast. I looked at those and said, you know what? Cook them as a steak. Cook them hot and fast, sear the outside, cut them on the bias, and these things should eat exceptionally well. To complement that, I'm making a board sauce. And a board sauce is simply a sauce that you put on the meat. When it's on the cutting board, you cut the meat while it's got that sauce on it, so the juices of the meat plus the sauce mixed together taste absolutely fabulous. Okay, I'm going to do the board sauce, let it sit in the fridge while I cook the meat. You can prepare a board sauce ahead of the time, but it's not too far. Don't do it more than an hour or so, simply because even if it's in the fridge, oil can allow botulism to grow, so you know, food safety here. Alright, so the board sauce, dead easy. I'm going to move the camera so that you can see. Okay, just one moment. Okay, so the board sauce, as I say, it's a sauce that you put over the meat when it's on the chopping board, cut the meat into the sauce, and it all mixes together, and it's wonderfully easy. The guy who's attributed this idea is Adam Perry Lang, who many of you would have heard of. The guy must be a genius because this is so simple, tastes so good, and is just a wonderful compliment to any meat. He really did something special here. Alright, normally I would chop this up with a knife, I would move very quickly, mix it all together on the board, but simply because of the weather and guests are soon to arrive, I'm going to do it in the pot. Now, essentially, use the blender. Essentially, the board sauce is olive oil plus whatever else you want to put in it. Today, because I'm doing these essentially beef riblets, I'm using a fair dollop, probably 2 or 3 teaspoons of a horseradish. This is essentially a wasabi cream, plus a whole load of chopped woody vegetables. So there's sage, thyme, some other bits and pieces, bits of rosemary going in there. This just gives lovely colour. Normally, this being San Antonio, I would also add in some jalapenos or some serrano peppers to give a little bit more spice and kick. Today I'm just going with basic black pepper, freshly ground just a few moments ago. Finally, a couple of chunks of garlic. I put the garlic in last, so it'll be closest to the blade when I do the chopping. Okay, I'm going to add a good slug of olive oil, just to give this some lubrication as the blades spin, and I'll probably add some olive oil once it's actually blended. You guys might have seen this device. A fellow countryman probably advertises it on TV. So I'm just going to pop it in the blender, give a few pulses so it's roughly chopped. I don't want it finely chopped, I just want it roughly chopped. Then I'm going to leave it in the fridge, get the fire going, and we'll be good to go. So here they are, the stars of the show. These beautiful cutlets. As I say, I think they're probably off the short plate, off the edge of the cow's ribs. But you can see there's fabulous marbling running through each and every one of them. I've left them overnight just with a dry salt brine. Just basically sprinkle them with salt. I use a cooling tray so that air can circulate. Salt is a very, very small molecule. It's just sodium and chlorine, so NaCl. And it can actually penetrate inside the meat. When you consider other marinades that you often use, the molecular structure is so large. For example, a carbohydrate is carbon plus hydrogen plus oxygen, typically in a very long line. That's a very large molecule and just can't get inside the meat, whereas salt is a very small molecule, just sodium and chlorine, and it can get inside the meat. It's also hydrophilic, it likes water, it attracts meat to it, so when it's on the surface it helps dry out and make a nice sort of dry aging on the meat. When it gets inside it helps trap the water there, it's just got a natural affinity for water. So, dry, just salted, left in the cool, dry environment of a fridge overnight with plenty of air to circulate around them, and these things are getting a nice crust. Now, what I'm going to do is set the Grilla-Q up for a direct grill, and we're going to get straight on with it. I did actually have a look at the board sauce I was making. I thought, you know what? I'll blend that a little bit further and make a basting sauce and baste them towards the end of the cook. But my goal is here is just to keep turning them and then cut them against the bias, nice thin strips, and they should eat extremely well. Let's get on with it. So, what's the setup? We're going hot and fast. I'm just simply going to put the Grilla-Q in approximately the middle of the Weber. By the way, you've seen this one a few times. Someone asked me the other day, how do you maintain your Grilla-Q? It's stainless. Stick it in the dishwasher. Works wonderfully. Okay. I'm going to use most of this side as the direct zone. Sift out some of these. It's going to get pretty hot there. Other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put some foil on this side here just to keep the airflow through the coals. And that way I'll be able to get a very hot fire and keep the air coming through the coals. It should maintain a good heat. Just give it 2 more seconds. Okay, so we're good to go. This is why I designed the Grilla-Q. Got nice big cool area for resting or bringing things off the heat if it does get a little bit too hot. Very large hot area. We've been able to divide the Weber in half, gives us tremendous flexibility. Let's get that meat on. Hear it sizzle as soon as it goes on, even when it's in the cooler edge of the fire. Okay, with anything like this, I'm just going to keep turning and keep turning. Wait 10 seconds. Turn it. Nice thing about this meat actually is that it is practically square. So, every few seconds, just give it a turn. And do the next side. That way we can get a beautiful brown sear on the outside, hopefully keeping the centre a nice gorgeous red, just the way we like it. Okay, it's been about 3 or 4 minutes. They're already starting to pick up the sear mark, they're getting that brown colour, nice mahogany. I think it's about time. Now, to give them a quick dose of the oil sauce there. Now the thing about the grill marks is, yes, they look fabulous, everybody wants them, but that's what you love, that marinara in action. So what you need is that brown mark kind of all over the meat. So I'm going to use a bit of the oil sauce that I created earlier, the seasoned sauce with the horseradish and the woody vegetables, things like that, just to put some oil on this meat between rotations, and I'm going to do that for a while, the next few spins, and that oil is going to fry that meat and really amp up the crust, because that's what we want, that crust to be beautifully amped up. So, flare-ups, good sign, or a good teaching opportunity. Great thing about all this space is I can just move it over. Okay, I'm going to keep doing this, back in a mo. Okay, literally 2 minutes later, you can see how now they're really taking on that deep crust, the dark brown colour. The sear marks are now really all over the meat. It's looking beautiful, looking beautiful. Okay, so here's the great thing now. This side here, completely cool. So I can just move them over and essentially completely arrest the cooking process. So I get these exactly how I want them, and then stop, more or less, stop them cooking by doing that. So that's exactly what I'm going to do at this point, because I think they're about there. Okay, let's get this board sauce underway. Really no need for waiting for rest. Here you can see beautiful mahogany colour. I'm really hopeful that this is going to be spot on the inside. well done at that end. See, gorgeous red colour, exactly how we want it. Now notice that I'm cutting at an angle, that way I can be absolutely sure that I am getting short fibres. The principle of cooking on the cutting on the bias is that you get short fibres, okay, and that's what I'm trying to do, make sure I get short fibres. Okay, then you essentially do this. Drizzle some of your broad sauce over the top. In this case, this one's just going to thin it out a bit. Allow the two to mix, mingle, and enjoy one another. I'm going to add a cracking of salt because I didn't have any in the sauce originally, other than the dry brine I used. I actually don't think that needs any olive oil either, so I'm just going to take a piece like that and enjoy it. Now notice, see, red coast to coast, deep round sear, beautiful crust, so easy with a Grillicue. I'm going to try this piece and off we go. Okay, so there we go, that's it. In all honesty, I still have no idea what the cut is of meat that I've just used. However, you go into the store, you look at it, you say this looks like a good piece of meat, and things something to do with it. How easy it was with the Grillicue to create a very, very hot searing fire for that beautiful, and I mean beautiful, dark sear around the edge, and then practically pink from coast to coast. Almost nothing in the way of a well done ring, just beautifully red all the way through. The board sauce, that easy. Olive oil, typically, plus salt, plus woody herbs, plus some garlic and some spice, whatever you choose, however you want to eat it. Makes for a fabulous, fabulous eating. Enjoy.